We're going to turn now to the subject of aging, or actually the subject of redefining aging. Times have changed over the past few generations. Pictures of my grandmother for when she was 60 show a woman who looks like someone we'd now figure to be 85 or older. Most women in their 60s now are either still working at jobs or doing other productive activities and pay attention to their appearance. They see themselves as somewhere middle age, with many, many fulfilling years ahead of them, not as senior citizens like my grandmother did. We're going to dive into the redefinition of aging in today's society with research psychologist and therapist Dr. Frieda Birnbaum. She's the author of several books, including the award-winning Life Begins at 60, A New View of Motherhood, Marriage, and Reinventing Ourselves. Welcome to the Dream Power Show, Dr. Frieda.
Thank you so much. My pleasure to have you have me on. How's that?
Oh, well, it's my pleasure too, Dr. Frieda.
Thank you.
And you have your own example of changing attitudes and behavior about aging, because as I understand it, you're the oldest woman in America to give birth to twins. So tell me about
Yes, it's true. I was 60 years old at the time, and old was a huge word at the time. I didn't feel old. I don't think I looked old, but I guess I did something that other women didn't do. And it's my birthday today, by the way. I am.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Yes. So I have my boys that are 15 years old now. They're twins, handsome kids, and I'm very happy to have this type of experience. And as women are living longer, younger, we will have those opportunities. I know that now women are in their 50s or middle 50s. So it's reaching there, and some women are in their late 50s. I think that just the number 6 sort of hit a nerve. But along the line, my whole life, I had to define myself by myself. There was no one really there that I felt had the same kind of profile that I needed to have to move on. So I did these things on my own. And here I sit with you talking about age and what to expect. And I've met people around the country, Gloria Steinem, Betty Friedan. These were women, revolutionary women. And they said I would be doing something like this one day. And here I am, not knowing what they were talking about, but them knowing me, knowing that I always started to do things that were not necessarily supportive, having a career and family and relationship. At that time, there was also a stigma then, as there probably is now, about me having children at 60.
Well, I think medically it was pretty much impossible beforehand.
Well, having children at that time, yes, but having a career, a family, and a relationship at that time, there was a stigma with that, and that was possible. But there was nobody that did both. I mean, even Gloria Steinem said she's sorry she didn't have a child. So it was difficult, but I found that I made my own path, lost a few friends along the way, but that's life. You have to be true to yourself, because the worst thing is, I could have, I should have. And I never did that. I always kept moving forward.
Yeah, was it hard for you to do this without having role models that you could say you could follow and emulate?
Well, that's a good question. I think it was harder for me not to do it because I'm very motivated. And if I don't do what I need to, there's resentment that gets in the way of moving forward. So I don't think I had a choice. I had to listen to myself. There was a disappointment in what my role was supposed to be. After being educated and being excited, was being a mother, my role. Being a mother is a wonderful role. It's the most important role, but it didn't seem to be enough. I needed to be able to define myself. Even my mother said she could have been a good businesswoman, but she grew up at a time in an Orthodox family, Jewish Orthodox family, where you were supposed to wear that house dress. That's what she wore. She wore that house dress. It had to have pockets, though.
Yes, yes, very much.
And that's what she wore. The same thing, the same hair, short hair. those shoes, those orthopedic shoes, and
You're right. I
yeah,
forgot to mention the shoes. That was another thing I
yeah,
clearly remember. Those big, thick shoes.
big, thick shoes. And as a child, I always tell this story. I knew people's age, women's age, by looking at their shoes. And I always said to myself, why are they wearing those shoes? People know that they're old if they wear those shoes. So that sort of defined them. I was fixated on those orthopedic, heavy looking shoes. But yes, that was the appearance. That's how women define themselves then. And today we define ourselves for who we are individually. It has nothing to do with age at all.
Mm-hmm. People who are listening to this, on the podcast or on the radio show can't see you, but since you said that your kids are now 15, it means that you're in your 70s now, and you do not look it at
I
all.
do. And, that's the one message I want to tell you. I turned 76 today. And that number is not a number that sort of defines. And I think we need to, as a society, we need to redefine what age is. I was quoted in Newsweek as saying that ageism needs to be refined. We need to represent ourselves by telling the truth, first of all, so we know what that is. But it just is not the same anymore. It's not my looks only, it's my energy, my optimism, my motivation to do things. Actually, I feel more excited now than I ever have about my life. I have more to look forward to than I ever have. So I think that it's the person, what they're doing. You could be 30, 40, 70, 80, and what effect you're having that makes you who you really are.
And isn't that the way that it ought to be? Is that we should always think that at whatever age it is, that's the best, and it's going to get better. And as we get older, it just gets better and better, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, people think, oh yeah, she's just talking, big deal. Sure. No, when you look back 10 years from now, you say, boy, I wasn't so old. And so that's a very strong message. I remember Oprah Winfrey saying, boy, 50 is great. And I thought to myself, wait till you reach 60. I was more excited about life than ever. So we fear it. And yet when we get there, hey, it's not so bad. Look, I have long hair. I wear whatever I want to wear. Right now, you can't see it. I'm wearing stretch pants or whatever, and I'm still the Frieda, and it's the essence of who you are. So we're too fixated on these numbers. When I had the twins, somebody from Germany said to me, I opened the door, where's the old lady? And I said, I guess I'm the old lady, because I didn't know the word old represented me till the way society defines it. And there's still a disconnect between men and women. Rod Stewart had a child when he was 60. I was on the same television show with him. They spoke about his music. I was there to talk about my age. So why is it that men still have these double standards of who they're supposed to be? And yet women today are more successful than ever. They have their own careers. They have, status and income. We need to catch up to where we are today. And marrying they're cougars also. That's the fun part.
Yes,
Marrying these younger guys, or partnering with younger guys.
yes, it is. Well, I have to admit that as a mother of grandchildren, I choose not to be a mother again at this age, because I think I just wouldn't want that responsibility. And because there are other things I would like to do with my life, but it's great that we have that choice to be able to do that or not. We have so many more opportunities now, just like you said, to be a mother when you're older, or to do what I did, which was to start a new career when I was older. Do you see a defining point when this idea that age is not a detriment started to become more common and not just a rarity?
Well, with in vitro, as women are having children later, they're also able to have careers and be educated longer. So because of that, that's changed. And developmentally, the way we are partnering up has changed. We're no longer getting married when we're 20 necessarily. We're getting married in our 30s and 40s, having kids later. So developmentally, we really are combining everything. We're combining when we're going to have our careers, when we're going to have our kids, when we're going to get married, when we're going to get retired. And it's a combination of all those above ages, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and beyond, that we're pretty much going in a direction of, as you said, choosing what we want to do. And by the way, I did not want to have another child at 60. It was not me. I wanted to really have opportunities. I already had 3 children, and I was waiting for my turn. I put my husband through law school. I took care of my parents. I looked younger than my age at that time. So I looked, I looked the part. I did this for my husband. He's the one. Nobody talks about him, but he's the one that said, don't tell the truth about your age. No one will know the difference. There's longevity in your family. Your parents lived into their 90s. You'll be fine. You're going to live longer than that. And go for it. I said, I'll do it for you. But meanwhile, the person who did this already had years and years of research behind her about what price power and what happens to a woman when she goes out in the workforce. How does the relationship and the marriage change when the woman changes her status? Well, I did research on this for my dissertation, for my PhD, because it was about myself. What I found, the findings were profound, that as women's status change, the way she's treated at home from her husband changes to the better. He listens to her. Did you ever have your husband look at his watch while you're talking to him? Well, I have. And it's very unnerving. It's like I'm going to throw a shoe at him. But, all of a sudden, social, financial, all these decisions, I'm the one that had the answers. The same person didn't have the answers before. So that was my research, and that's what I see, that women who have power outside the home are empowered inside the home, and children are more confident too, because they see a mother, and boys pick women who also have these kind of roles, so that the women are role models. And so I think that was the biggest thing that I was going towards. That was my research also. And this is something that my husband said to do. I carried the twins, full term. Nothing eventful happened because I was healthy. Had nothing to do with my age. And I had people call me from around the world. Can I do it? But it wasn't necessarily have children, but I made them feel young because I said, you can start all over again. You can start a new relationship. You can have a new career. You can move, you can go to school, whatever you want. It doesn't mean that you have to be in a certain peg. You have to be in a certain slot. And I think that's what was my message always from the time I did all the things I was supposed to do for my parents. Then I finally said, no, I'm going to do what I want to do from that time on. And that's my message, really, to just go ahead. Don't wait for anyone to say it's okay.
Dr. Frieda, is this redefinition of aging common in every part of our society, or are there groups where this is more accepted than others?
Well, absolutely. Women who are more educated have different opportunities than women who are not. So when I'm talking about aging, it's not about physical aging necessarily. I'm talking about an attitude and the way you conduct yourself in your life. You could be 30 and do nothing. You can be 70 and change the world. So that's really how we look at it. And yes, underprivileged communities may not have these kind of opportunities to be educated, to have high status careers, to be financially independent. All those things have to do with who we are and the combination of what we're doing with our lives. You could have children, you can have grandchildren, you can do it all. You can have a family life, a very rich family life, which I think is very important. But you have to be your own individual person as well. Not only cheer your family on, but to cheer yourself on too.
Yeah, and it's so important to really understand who you are because that gives you that opportunity to look out beyond whatever you're doing to see what it is you really want out of life.
Yeah, it really is, and not to wait for permission from anyone because everybody has their own agenda, and they may not feel so comfortable with you doing what they couldn't do. My mother told me I shouldn't do what I'm doing, so yeah.
Right. So our mothers are very important, and sometimes we have to not listen to our mothers.
Yeah, isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
The people that come to my practice, the ones that rebelled, in their childhood did not need the same kind of help as the ones that were good and listened. That's important to know.
It's very important. Uh, Turning to this, women in their 50s and 60s today look a lot more vibrant and younger than ever. Is there any documentation that women are taking care of themselves better than they used to?
Well, I don't represent that group of women, but because I really don't, and I have all kinds of things going on. My daughter's bringing lunch for me for my birthday, so I can't even get away from food. But in general, yes, women are having different lifestyles. They're much more physically active with the gym, with walking, the 10,000 steps or whatever, 4,000 steps now they say, with the way they eat, with the shakes, with the protein shakes, with the vitamins they're taking. Um, they're more involved with being active in the community and participating uh, with all kinds of agendas and their careers. So they're involved with life. And that's also very different because there used to be time that you retired. And today, people are not doing that. People who retire actually have second careers and they follow through with those careers that they find even more exciting and fun than the first, where they had to go and pay the mortgage. So that's changing. The vacations are changing. People are not necessarily sitting at home on their rocking chair, they're traveling, they're exercising. So the whole persona of what getting older needs to catch up to what society has the right information of what to expect with age. Even the words, when we talk about peak age, it should be redefined instead of middle age, because middle age sounds as if you're in the middle, you got up there, now you're going down. And peak age sounds as if you're there, you're at your peak, and you're at your peak for a very long time. And that gives you a feeling of having something to look forward to.
And that is so important. And one of the tenets of this show is that I always like to say it's never too late. I've told the story many times of how I discovered dream work in my 50s, and it then became my passion to help others by doing it. So I trained to help others to do it because I wanted them to understand how dream work could help them like it helped me. And then in the 60s, I was in my 60s when I started this show because I wanted women to see the possibilities that were available around them by having people like you and others talk about all those possibilities that are there. And that's because I don't see my age as an obstacle. And in fact, in my daily life, I tend not to even think about ages at all. Is that the way we should all be feeling about that number, that age that we are?
No one ever asked me if I was the grandmother of my kids. I forgot completely my age. And on the contrary, I get together with people where I have things in common. That's the way I live my life. And I also started everything late. When you look back now, you say 50 is not old at all. At the time, maybe it was. So breaking the barriers has different meaning. Today, women are working and having families. Like, what is she talking about? Of course, we're doing that. But no, It didn't happen in my time. So the message is not to do what I'm saying, but to do what you feel may not necessarily be acceptable, but it's just not that we're not there yet, and we will be there. I received my PhD when I was 46, got accepted to Columbia when I was 35. Uh, and I got married when I was 22 because I was told I was supposed to. My mother cried to the world that I was single, as if there was something mentally wrong with me. And then I had my children right after I put my husband through law school. So it's always, have to. But then again, I found a way to do these things. When most people were finished, I went, when the children were in school, I went to school as well. And when I felt they needed me, I dropped out of Columbia to take care of my kids. So there's this back and forth, but I ended up going where I needed to go. So it's not how you get there, it's whether you get there or not. And there'll be obstacles along the way, no matter what happens, especially the more you want, there'll be more obstacles. But life is a pattern of events, and you may as well do it because you have the time. Time is our biggest asset more than anything else. Take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you had, listened to society and not gone back to school and get the education that you really
I'd
wanted?
be very depressed. I'd be very depressed hanging out all day. I mean, there's only so much that's needed of you when the kids are in school. That's why when people say, "Oh, how can you have these kids at this age?" What was really needed of me? I'm naturally nurturing. They go to school, they come home at 3, they're tired, they eat, they do their homework, they have their friends. And when they were little, it was just a pleasure to have them in my life. And I didn't feel that I really had to put myself out all that much. So when you look at what you've done, it's the fact is you're doing it out of pleasure. And I was thoughtful, my health, the way who I am. I can't tell everybody to do what I'm doing because it probably wouldn't apply, but it did apply to me. And yes, women should listen to themselves, not what society dictates, because society doesn't know them. I mean, even my practice, I deal with individual therapy, not with psychology that's developmental. I don't believe in that. I think it's absurd. Everybody's so different. I mean, I'm definitely different. I always have been different. And then again, yes, I would have been depressed. I would have been complaining all the time, very difficult to live with. And I would not have been a great mother either. I would have been resentful too if I didn't follow my dreams. Now, I'm not saying being a mother is the wrong thing to do. I'm talking about myself. I think being a mother, I worship my mother. I think she did for me. There couldn't have been a better person in the world, really, that she gave of herself. And naturally, I would have done that as well. I would have given of myself, but I have enough energy to do both. And that's what would have been the missing link.
Right. I think the important thing is to really understand yourself and see what is right for
What
you
is right for you?
and to go for it. We've heard a lot of talk in the past couple of years or so about the great resignation, how so many people are quitting their jobs and then starting their own businesses. But are there any obstacles that you see for women over 50 becoming an entrepreneur and being her own boss?
I can't think of anything. I really can't think of why should there be and why would there be? Women are capable, they're bright. I think if anything, it's opportunities. That's the right word. Oh, to open up different individual insights. Women look at things often different than men, and we can take that and see what they will do. And maybe we'll have less wars, and maybe there'll be more kindness and support. That's definitely missing. We
Oh,
need to get rid of all this hatred already.
Yeah, that would be so great. But what advice, though, do you have for women who might be thinking about reinventing herself, but get stopped by that four-letter word fear?
Well, you're going to feel uncomfortable whether you do it or not. And in life, you have to make yourself uncomfortable to be comfortable. Many times, a car will come in the morning, 6 in the morning, to pick me up to go to a show. And I'll say, why am I doing this? What's my problem? What do I need this for? And it's dark outside. And uh, I have to memorize lines, and then when it's over, I have the biggest high afterwards because I faced my fears. And I think fear will be there, and you have to face your fears, walk through it, and see that you're going to do something because you're doing it rather than you're not doing it. You have to live with yourself. The biggest fear is living with yourself and not knowing. And it's not about failing, it's not about succeeding, it's just about doing and trying and seeing. The biggest complaint people have as they get older is that they didn't try.
And the important thing is to live life without regret.
To live life with, so many people say I could have, and they do. And that's in relationships, that's with their careers. They live with regret. And that's very painful when you see other people doing what they want to do, and you wish you could do it and not feel that you have that kind of opportunity. And it's not that they're brighter than you. It's that the word fear, that they confront it, they push themselves, they're motivated. It's about confidence. I mean, even in the schools, I wish they would teach the kids more about confidence than memorizing grades, because what does that do for you eventually? Those don't make leaders. It gets you a degree, but what about the depth of who you are? And we have to always tap into that, of who you are. What is your passion? What do you want to do? How do you go ahead and do it? I think the best thing to do is to listen to other role models. How did they do it? Then just go ahead and follow suit, follow through, get the right people, and always have people around you that think that you're doing well, because those people are in your corner, and it's going to help you to continue to do well.
Oh, wonderful advice. Well, Dr. Frieda, how can people find out more about you and your work?
Well, I do have a podcast. It's Dr. Frieda Show, DOCTORFRIEDA Show. I have a website. It's called drfrieda.com. And personally, they can email me at doctorfrieda@gmail.com. So
We've been speaking about redefining age with Dr. Frieda Birnbaum. I hope you've enjoyed today's program. If so, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Until next time, this is Debbie Spector Weissman saying, sweet dreams, everybody.